Social work in the healthcare field, a social worker wears many hats. We provide resources, we are their biggest advocate, and we walk with them during the hardest season of their lives. My name is Chelsea Henry. I'm a social worker for Solaris Hospice out of the Wichita Falls office. The type of support that we offer patient and their families varies from family to family. It's very tailored to their needs. We provide resources, we are advocates, we provide mental health and grief counseling as well.
Social work in the healthcare field is helping to provide uncommon care to patients and their families to help them celebrate what life that they have left. My name is Vanessa Ard. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and I work at the Maybank office. The type of support that I offer to patients and their families is providing active therapeutic listening, supportive counseling, help provide emotional support as well as coping skills. I also help families prepare for things that are like signing a DNR, medical power of attorney, a living will, and just ensuring that they're ready throughout the rest of the patient's life and things that happen after.
We help patients and families with maybe we're finding resources for folks, whether that's on a local level, a state level, or a federal level. Somebody might be at home and really need a higher level of care than what can be safely provided in the home. So what we do sometimes is provide resources to the families and start helping them look at maybe their financial means, things that patients, they might need to go to a long-term care facility or an assisted living facility, or maybe have in-home private caregivers because the care is becoming maybe too much for the family or whoever is in the home providing that care. My name is Tracy Peterson and I'm a social worker with the Denton area and Gainesville area for Solaris. Sometimes families need some time off from work because they're at home caring for their loved ones. So they might need some paperwork filled out or assisted with their jobs. Other things that we do is just provide emotional support. We all really need kind of that basic human need is to feel like we matter to someone. And so a lot of times these folks may or may not have a lot of support, whether that be in the home or even at a facility. I have quite a few folks that maybe their family members have died or they're estranged from their families. They don't really have anybody. So I like to go in and be that person that can kind of sit with them and laugh. We can do puzzles together, or we can, whatever it might be, and just provide that companionship for them.
These patients that we serve invite us into their homes during a very vulnerable state of their life, and we help them any way that we can. The impact that we have on them hopefully allows us to take the burden off of them, so we're able to help them and they can just grieve and be there for their loved ones during the season.
I think the impact that social work has is it helps to provide grief support. It helps the families to feel comfortable. It also helps them understand what to expect and what they're going through. It normalizes their situation. It helps them feel positive and hopeful even in this tough time. And it also relieves the burden of after the patient passes because they were prepared, they were ready. So emotionally, it really just helps prepare patients and their families.
I think the impact social workers can have with patients and especially their family members is to provide that answer or that need, help fill that need or advocate for that family and patient where maybe they haven't been able to have a voice. A lot of times family members just feel lost or they're overwhelmed and they don't know where to turn. And so we are that resource and advocate for them to help find the help and need that they have. I find great satisfaction in seeing other people's joy, and sometimes just something so small can actually bring a smile to somebody with, whether it's a caregiver or a family member or a patient, because we helped them with something seems so simple, but in their world of challenges with dealing with someone that's dying, that small little something can help bring joy to someone, maybe in their final days.
Social work in hospice has profoundly changed my life. It has allowed me to meet patients that have changed my life forever and shaped the way that I view life. They touch our hearts and our lives more than I could have ever imagined. Being allowed to be welcome into somebody's home and allow them to be, allow us to become a part of their family is just a blessing that I never expected to have.
For a personal note, what I do impacts me in many ways. I actually have what I call a death book. So if I were to ever get sick or something were to happen, my family would know my wishes. They would know exactly how to handle all of the bills, where to go to get death certificates, things like that. But it also helps me to celebrate life and enjoy it more and appreciate every day that God gives me.
Well, what we do as social workers in healthcare, especially in hospice, impacts me is that, it feeds my spirit. Really, it does. I find such pleasure in helping other people and being able to maybe bring a smile to somebody or, make a difference. And, I can think of a lot of challenging cases, but yet I know that my assisting someone else gives them comfort, and I get feedback from the patients and families that's something that I may not have thought was a huge thing was so impactful for them. So social work feeds my soul. It really, really does.
I had a beloved patient several years ago who came to us in a women's shelter is where we first picked her up. She had no family, no loved ones around. We were able to get her a home, get her warm meals, a warm bed, and we walked with her through the death and dying process, and she did not die alone. She impacted our lives tremendously, all of us, every single one of us. She lived such a hard life, and hearing her life stories, seeing her view of life now that she was able to laugh and love and live her best days out profoundly changed all of our lives, and we think of her and speak of her often.
So many patients have impacted me. They've given me so much wisdom on how to celebrate life, different perspectives. And then I have one patient that I think of just all the time. She was so fun to be around. And what I'll never forget is the day before she passed, I was leaving her house and I just thought, I don't know if I'm gonna see you again. I have no idea. And I told her, I just want you to know that I love you very much. And the next day she passed.
I had a gentleman that lived by himself in pretty poor conditions in this apartment. And when he came on service with us, I had to get adult protective services involved, but we got him safely to a long-term care facility. He was pretty cranky about the whole thing, but I really loved him. He was a neat guy. And once he got there and he was being fed well and taken good care of, he started to really soften. That hard exterior softened. And come to find out, he had an ex-wife and a daughter that lives in California, and they had lost their son at a very young age from an accident. Maybe he was around 8 or so. And he was buried in California, and this gentleman had a plot, and he just wanted to be buried next to his son. So I ended up finding the ex-wife and the daughter, and they were elated to know where he was. They flew from California to see him in his final days. It was beautiful. And they reconnected, and we were able to help ship his cremains to California, where he could be laid to rest next to his son. So that one sticks with me. I really love it. There's a lot of things that we can do in healthcare. Again, a lot of times it's resources and that just emotional support and companionship. I also think in healthcare it's important for us as social workers to be available for our coworkers. We do work in some challenging situations sometimes where, we're all human, and, if we have these patients sometimes and families that we get really connected to over time, and when that patient does pass away, it can be really hard for some of these folks, or it might be a really challenging case. And so sometimes I like to feel like I'm there to help support my coworkers and colleagues as well.